A blessed day to each and every, and again, we're going to have another professional development for DLA teachers, and this is all about definitive budget of work in DLA Cookery Grade 10. To begin with, this is the budget of work that we came up with together with my fellow Grade 10 Cookery teachers, and for the content standard, this is all about the concepts that the students need to master at the end of the quarter. For the performance standards, these are the necessary skills and competencies that they need to perform so that their skills will be measurable. And of course, while we are planning for our DBOW, of course, we take a look at the month at a glance and try to think about on on the specific time frame and have it aligned with our Department of Education calendar. We compressed the written works and the performance tasks into four so that it will be an academic ease with the students. And of course, advanced activities had been given through the use of YouTube as a learning platform and modules as well. Modules can be digitized for the online learners, and it will be printed for the modular learners. Of course, we have aligned it with our most essential learning competencies matrix to the K to 12 curriculum, which is in lieu with the BELCP learning continuity plan that had been launched or had been released as a Department of Education memo last July 2020 in light of COVID-19 pandemic. What we are doing in our department is that we are trying to copy the most essential learning competencies in Microsoft Word, and then we try to plan on the date that we are trying to execute the lesson. Is the lesson executable for 1 hour, for an hour, or for 1 day, or for a week, or do we need to have two sessions so that the students can able to master the particular skills or concepts? And also, we are thinking if this particular topic needs to have a written assessment or a performance task, because our target here is to have the students mastery, because this is a specialization in grade 10. We are also planning our week so that we will know when we will going to finish, and of course this will be aligned or had been aligned with our Department of Education calendar. One example that we are doing is we are putting as well the activities that we have written down on our DBOW and WHLP, and we are using the stream so that we can put announcement with our students, and we are maximizing this so that the Facebook Messenger will not be will not put into use when we are trying to communicate with each other, because the security in Facebook is not that tight. So that's why if we only try to communicate through the Google Classroom, security will be done. And also this will condition the students that this is all about their learning or e-learning classroom. Of course, some of the activities that had been written down on the DBOW will be put into the Google Classroom. An advanced reading will be shown through the YouTube channel of Online Cookery Grade 10. And after that, the students will going to make a comment, and the comment will serve as their attendances. The attendance as well will be screenshot, and it will be uploaded as a learning material in the Google Classroom. For if there will be discrepancy on the grades of the students, at least we teachers have something to tell about the parents if they've shown up in the class. Another example of the screenshot is that for every lesson that we are conducting with our students, we are taking a screenshot and uploaded it and attach it on the attendance in the Google Classroom. Also, those students who are not doing their tasks during the asynchronous activities, they will be screenshot as well and put as the absent on that particular day. Of course, we are trying to encourage our students that they have to prioritize performance tasks, since this will compose 70% of their grades, and Quizzes shouldn't be left behind because this will be 30% of their remaining grade as well. This is an example of my Google Classroom wherein I categorize the classroom for written works and for performance tasks so that when we hit the grade button, we can easily copy paste the grades and the scores of our students. Also, I highly encourage everyone to use the project calendar or the Google Calendar. We can put the schedule of our students, their synchronous and asynchronous classes. So I have color-coded the sections that I'm handling. For example, for Lagandula, I have them colored as yellow. For Aquino, it will be a little pink. For the Burgos, it will be light blue. For the Dagohoy, it will be yellow. Then after which, if you are seeing pencil and a paper, then this is their asynchronous class. For this cell phone that we are seeing on the screen, this will be for the synchronous class. Now, also, there is a Google Keep that we can able to use if we try to do a brain dump or we have to put some of the notes templates that we are using in our everyday teaching. So these are very, very important. When we try to plot our calendar, we can set it on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis so that we're not going to create an event every now and then. This will be a great help as well so that our calendars will be blocked in case there will be some meeting that we need to attend to, so that the people can see in your organization if you are busy and attending another meeting or you have your classes. For the week number in the DBOW, of course, this will be from week 1 to week 8 as stated in the most learning essential competencies. And also for the list of the most essential learning competencies, of course, we are always putting the codes so that it can be easily identifiable in the MELCs. For the unpacking activities, first, what we are doing is we are facilitating a YouTube visual viewing activity through the Cookery YouTube e-learning platform. The e-learning platform that will be launched is same as the presentation that will be conducted on the following day. What will going to happen is the students can able to watch the video presentation, or they can also, if they also want to read the module, that will do as well, as long as they're going to have an advanced study on the lesson that will be discussed on the following day. So once they have reviewed already or read the materials or watch the presentation, there will be a short discussion or forum on the video that had been presented. The technique here is that this will going to minimize the number of discussion hours, and we're just going to focus on the unclear items that the students need to be cleared upon, and also on some of the materials or concepts that we need to give focus and emphasis on. So for the posting guide questions for the students, they have to reflect it on their activities. Some of my co-teachers are using the exit questions, wherein before the students are leave the Google Meet, they have to answer questions for their takeaways. One of my practices is that I am trying to do the sticky notes or the Jamboard, wherein they're going to draw or they're going to represent. For the unpacking strategies, next we have the posting guide questions for students to reflect on their learning. Some of the practices of my co-teachers or my colleague are doing is the exit questions. The students need to answer their takeaways or provide their takeaways and unclear concepts or area on the lessons before leaving the Google Classroom. On my own practice, what we are doing is that we're trying to use the Jamboard, and then the students will going to put on their names and they have to draw the concepts or a phrase or a sentence on what are the takeaways on a particular lesson. Also, they will also be instructed to do the performance task, and their performance task is to create a concept map. We highly encourage every student during the online platform to use their notebooks in creating their performance task so that it will be less screen time and their eyes will not suffer due to long usage on the screen. For the unpacking activities, of course, there will be processing questions that they have to answer. But in order for us to formulate the processing questions, of course, we have to take note if the question affects the domains of learning. So if we talk about how are you going to prepare stocks and soap required for menu items, this will going to touch the psychomotor domain of the students. If we're going to talk about the different types of ingredients, this will be for the cognitive. And if the students you want the students to think on what will going to happen on the consistency of the soup, we're going to trigger their critical thinking skills. For the hygienic procedures, this will be under effective. So in one lesson, in a span of an hour, we have to target at least 3 domains, and we can add another domain so that we can ensure that the learning will be at its most essential peak. Of course, so that we can able to create the domain, we have to base it well at Bloom's taxonomy. Of course, the cognitive should be on the remembering part, and if they understand it, of course, they can able to think critically. Application will be on their psychomotor domain, and when they analyze it, it can also be found under critical skills or on answering the questions based on the psychomotor activities. Evaluating will be given through the use of assessment, and creating will be on their presentation. Of course, the module title references are our school-based modules that have been written down. All the modules that we have for Cookery Grade 10 is being shared on a one-share drive so that it can be easily accessible, and it had been folded by quarter. For the instructional materials, we are usually using video lessons for TLE Cookery Grade 10. We are also having a cross-reference with the presentation of Dr. Espinosa. For instance, she is trying to talk about Menudo Classic, so we're going to insert this on our lesson for meat dishes. For our slide presentation, all the slides have been saved on our Google Drive, and of course, we're not going to settle on for the one that we have done last year, but we have to innovate and we have to modify it based on the latest and common trends that is happening right now in the world of culinary. The instructional materials that we are using are the Google Meet, other Google platforms, and there is an update that had been talked about and discussed by Ma'am Michelle Karen at Toto, and she shared this that the teachers are always co-teachers are always the meeting hosts. So if teachers are the meeting host, then we can able to generate link on the Google Classroom. We have to reset it every now and then so that we can ensure that students are protected and the link will not be given to any person. Also, the students will be sent to the waiting room until a teacher is present in the meeting. Unlike the ordinary Google Meet, the students can able to talk with each other even though the teacher is not around. But here, once the teacher arrives, that's the time that the students will go to the Google Meet. For video participant that's outside the class, they will going to ask to join and be admitted by the host. So it is necessary for us to we also have the video participant outside of our class. They will be asked or prompted to join and be admitted by the host. So it's very important for us that we have to add our observers and also our students. If the students are already in the Google Classroom, then they will not going to ask to be admitted by the host. But if they are outside of our organization, then they will going to be prompted to ask to join. Isn't it safe? So the new features in the Google Classroom are very safe and the security is tight. So we can assure that there will be no outsiders or any people outside our organization that can able to join the link in the Google Classroom. For the instructional material, rubrics are being utilized as well. There are some rubrics. For the instructional materials, we are also using the rubrics, and this is a great way to use the rubrics in the Google Classroom. We can able to put on our criteria. For instance, we have here the very satisfactory, and we can able to define what satisfies this grade and this category. And once we click it, it will automatically be graded on the student's paper. And after that, we can just submit it or return it with our students. These are the forms of assessment that we are using on the DBOW. So, of course, we are asking the question and answer portion that can happen during the class discussion, written exams. That will be 30%. And this can be taken after the discussion, the rubrics for the performance test, and formative assessment, which we are using as a review or in the connection from their prior knowledge to the current one. And we also have to put a remarks if the lessons had been successfully delivered and if the students had participated in the discussion and be able to give their reflections. So that's all for today, teachers. Sometimes the thing that our students need most has nothing to do with our lesson plan according to relationship goals that life. But we are not stating that lesson plans is not important. Lesson plan help us to be more organized so that we can have a particular time frame and we can know that the lessons that we are executing and delivering to our students targeted the domains and different aspects on their life so that they can use it on their future. What we have to do is we have to educate our students that for every written exams or performance tasks, there are always coinciding values that lies beneath those particular performance tasks. According to Proverbs chapter 31 verse 26, we have to open our mouth with wisdom. We always, before we start our class every morning and before we open our laptop, we have to pray and ask for God's mercy and assistance that they will pour and shower us the great wisdom and knowledge so that we can able to teach with kindness. Because if we are kind on our tongue, we can able to let our students be happy. And if the students are happy, they will be comfortable. And if they are comfortable, then that means the grasping of knowledge and information will be easy for them. So masteries and application will be at ease. So we have to always ask for God's guidance when it comes to teaching our students. So that's all for today. Thank you and see you again to my next channel.